Hi, I'm Phil, and today I'm going to have a look at the Seed Studio Grove MP3 player, and I'm going to look at version 3, even though today there's a more recent version, and version 3 is no longer really available from the shop online. It costs around about $9, $9 to $10 for the unit, and I back ordered that and got it a couple of years ago, but I haven't actually put it to use. The applications, you can make an MP3 player out of it. And it's based on a chip made in Shanghai called the WT200S3. And if you get the specifications for that, you'll be able to control it, not only just in a microprocessor called the Arduino Uno, but you can program it in almost any computer. It's got a sample rate all the way up to 48K, and there's the bit rate, and it has a card, micro SD card slot. So that I'll be utilizing that. It also has a speaker port. I won't be using the speaker port because it takes up too much power on the configuration. And I'm going to use an external USB speaker. Okay, so we've seen most of the features already, and we might move on to the projects I've been working on. So the most recent project are using the Core 2 computer. And the last project here is right on the bottom. And we'll have a look at the desktop arrangement of that. So this is what it looks like. So I've got the Grove MP3 player on the left, and on the right, I've got the computer, which is connected to that. And on the bottom, I've got a simple control. And the idea here is that we're going to get some inspiration from a commercial unit called the Relish. And this is what the Relish looks like. A simple controls right on the top for someone with disabilities. They might have dementia, and they don't want a complicated MP3 player. So you've got a button for turning it on and off, and this goes beyond MP3 play. So if you want an MP3 play, just press the button in the middle, right on the bottom. The other ones are for selecting a local FM or DAB radio station. And on the right, there's a volume control. And the Relish has two levels. So that's the for the person with disabilities. And the carer can actually, there's controls for the carer to set up and change the MP3 files using a USB drive on the right there. And it's portable. So that's the Relish, and that's the inspiration for the unit that I've created. So here's my carer. The carer can set up the P for play, and these are painted on the Core 2 computer. So we've got the green button, P for play, the red button, S for stop. We've got previous and next track. And what's different about my design is it's quite easy to use the slider control to select a song number, then play the song number with the purple button on the left. And some of the commands are also duplicated here. So let's have a look at what the objective is. Well, what I want to do is test the commands for the Seed MP3 player on the Core 2 computer using a UART interface. And I want to include play selected songs command, and also provide simple controls, previous play, stop, and next song. I want to find out what the limitations are. What do I have to name my files? Can I just copy them and put them straight on an SD card? Or is there some other rules that I have to follow? Anyway, that's what I'll be discovering and testing. I also want to explore the possibilities for that separate user interface for the carer and the client, and for the developer that might want to add some debugging feedback. And I want to have a look at the UI commands, the user interface, and how to select separate MP3 files, see if we can do that later. And make it easy with providing the user with feedback, and simple 2 buttons will be used for playing and stopping. So let's have a look at the hardware that I'll be using. I'm going to use the Grove MP3 player, and the WT stands for Waytronic. And I've looked up and I've got the specifications for that. The other components are from M5 Stack, and I'm using the Core 2 computer, and I'm adding the battery button, or the battery bottom, which makes it portable and gives me access to the UART and the GPIO ports B and C. I'm using the dual button for the client. So let's have a look at the arrangement here. So this is what it looks like, and we'll go across to see what that hardware construction looks like. So let's have a look at the hardware construction. We start off with a M5 Stack Core 2 computer, and we need to add the M5 Go battery bottom, and that's not only needed for the battery, but also for access to the 2 ports, the UART and the GPIO for ports C and B. And now we've got access to port C, we can add the Seed Grove MP3 player via a Grove cable. And now we can add the mini dual button, so the client has easy access to the stop and the start button. And with our PC, we can create the program using the online web program UI Flow. And when we're happy, we can download the program over Wi-Fi, and we can paint the user interface using that program. So in addition to the M5 stack components with computer and push button, we also add a donor portable speaker, which gives us a fairly good sound quality. So this is what it looks like, and that costs me around about $57 plus postage. So overall, you can see what the total cost is, about $131.35 for all the components, and that doesn't include the postage. Okay, so it's much cheaper, about 1/3 of the cost compared to the Relish simple music player. For the communications protocol between the computer and the MP3 player, here are some of the commands that I have to, and all of these commands were taken from the technical data sheet. So I can play a file by index, I can do the stop and the next, and you'll notice that the serial packet always starts off with a start code of 7E and has an end code of EF. And there's a checksum. So the sum here consists of the length, the O3, and the command AC. And that checksum will change for each command. So we've got one for next, previous, and stop. And for the more complicated ones, we can select the track order and even the name, and that checksum will change according to the new parameters that we set there. Okay, so now that we know the communications protocol, all we're going to do is include that in the software. So in the software, we're going to use an IDE, which is a tool for constructing the software code, and I'll show that in a minute. Also, I'm going to paint the user interface using that UI flow program. And the code for that is here, and we'll look at the construction of that very shortly. So let's have a look at the software for our simple MP3 player. And I'm using the online program called UI Flow. And it's got 3 compartments. Right on the left, we've got the area where we paint the screen. So this is called the user interface. And under that, we've got the units that we've selected. So we've actually got 1 unit selected already. And when we do that, we add the additional commands to our middle layer, which is slightly towards left of center. You can see the unit for the dual button has been added. And on the right, we have our canvas where we create our program. And on the top, we've got the setup. We've got the event programming for the various buttons, including the on-screen touch buttons. And we've got the various functions on the right. And on the bottom right, we've got a bar event button. So let's have a look at those in detail. So you can either have a look at the graphical program or switch to Python, and you can see what the program looks like. But I created it in the blocky mode. So let's have a look at that in detail. I'm going to zoom up now so we can see it in detail. So we have a look at setup. And what I'm doing here is setting up the port for the UART. So it's 9600 board, and it's going to use pins 14 for transmission and 13 for the receiver. I initialize the commands, and I also set the slider value. So if you look at the UI, the slider is this item here on the near the bottom. And I'm setting the song number to 1 and the maximum number of songs to 25, and setting that onto the label, which is number 5. So if I press that up, number 5, you can see it's got a title number 5, and that'll change to 0 with that command. So in the initialize commands, we'll just move right across so you can see those. What we're doing here is we're initializing the static commands. So these ones don't change, and the dynamic commands only change because we're adding a checksum and the song number. So we'll have a look at those in a minute. The static commands are the next command, the previous command, and the play command and stop command. Now, all of those, they are commands for our MP3 player, and we're setting the hexadecimal values over the UART to the Grove UART MP3 player. Okay, so all we do in setup is just set up those commands. So that's set up. In the nothing happens in the loop. But the event programming, when we touch button 0, see if we can find that. That's the play button. So if I just open that up, that's the touch button 0. I'm setting the background to green, the text to P for play. And when that happens, I go over to a function called play. All the other ones are quite similar. And I've replicated that with the buttons on the bottom. So right on the bottom here, we've got button A, B, and C. They're over here. And I can play two different ways. So when I go to play, I go to this function and I show on the mode button that it's the play is the current command. Then I go and play command. So we go to the function play command so we can find that. Play command. Song selected. Next. Stop. So the play command should be right on the top here. Here it is. So to play, we just send the list, which is play command, that we are set up when we initialized. We set that up to the UART, and that's all we do. Just two commands in that. So there's previous, and there's the next. And finally, the stop. And that's the software for our simple MP3 player. So overall, I'm quite happy with the results. I can play the MP3 player either with the touchscreen or with the push buttons. So the client only has to use the push buttons to start and stop, and the carer can set up the MP3 player and has more control over the MP3 player. So limitations-wise, so far I haven't found any problems in copying directly my MP3 files onto the SD card. I don't have to renumber or rename those. So that's an advantage. The only thing is I can't see what the name of the MP3 file that I'm playing on the screen. I've explored other possibilities of the user interface, and one of those is that I still have to set up the volume control. So I'll use a similar slider mechanism to change the volume up and down. And I've made it easy to use with feedback for the user. Some of the issues, the song number is not aligned onto the SD. So that just means that you don't really know what name of the MP3 file is when you turn it on. That needs to be further explored. And at the moment, I'm playing up to about 24 songs on the SD card. If you're interested, have a look at the Grove MP3 player. And instead of version 3, version 4 is available now. Slightly increased price. And also, it has a completely different communications protocol. So that means I'll have to reprogram that for version 4. For Empire Stack, there's the Core 2 and the mini dual button. And that's it. Stay tuned and I'll give you a desktop demonstration. This is the Relish Simple MP3 player. And it also has radio stations. They can be FM or DAB, digital radio. Very simple to use. One button control. And then you select what you want to listen to. It was written in
2019. And it's called Wilga's Last Dance, which refers to the only
Or we can go to another radio station, local radio station, third radio station, or we can play an MP3. Here I have mounted on a Lego baseboard a simple MP3 player, and we are using an MP3 chip from Seed Studio. Everything's Grove compatible. The other three devices, I've got a rotary encoder for changing the volume and for starting playing the music and stopping the music. These two devices feed via Grove cables into a M5 stack Core 2 computer, also using Grove cables. And there's the interface for my simple MP3 player on the screen of the Core 2 computer. So if I want to start it, there are two ways. A client can just press the three buttons, volume up and down, play and stop. So to play it, we'll might turn on the speaker, so we've got the output of the MP3 player going via an audio connection to a Donna speaker over here, and I'm just going to turn that on and it will start. So and if we want to stop it, we just press stop. And we can do the same thing on the screen. So we've got a touch screen and we can stop it. We can go reverse or we can go forward. And we can adjust the volume with the volume control here. And that's the simple MP3 player using a Grove MP3 module and a M5 stack Core 2 computer.